While the bus is in motion, because we do hit the brakes for the wildlife. Hopefully we see lots of wildlife today. But if something runs in front of our bus, our friend Joe here will hit the brakes. So just stay seated for your safety. People often ask if they can take pictures. Now we're about to visit one of the most restricted pieces of government property in the world, and you can take all the photos you want. Except for one spot, about 1 minute from now, we will cross through the security border. Please just do not take pictures of the guards or the guard shacks just down this road. Down to the right, we'll pass that area. And if you need to talk or translate during the tour, feel free. Just keep it at a slightly lower volume so your immediate neighbors can enjoy the commentary as they wish, because some people come from half a world away for just this space center. No matter where you travel from, we're glad you're here. 1961, and you see this little black nose cone on top, a little cone. That's the Mercury capsule. That's where the astronaut goes. We were not built for comfort in the early days, as you can see. No in-flight service here, but it worked. We launched Al Shepard into that sky right there. He landed safely about 300 miles out, right next to the islands of the Bahamas. And the whole flight took about 15 minutes. So in other words, that's a 15-minute flight to the Bahamas. And inside there, he assembled that rocket that took the Apollo 11 crew to put the first footsteps on the moon. Not only that, we flew to the moon 9 times and landed 6 times. All those big Saturn V moon rockets went through that building. If we needed one more, the next one in line to go is the one you'll see at the end of this tour. Of course, you'll also see Space Shuttle Atlantis later today. I highly recommend you see Atlantis. All the shuttles were assembled inside that same big building. And of course, we retired our shuttle program in 2011 for safety. And since then, we have been designing and building a new rocket. The new big NASA rocket is called the SLS, or the Space Launch System. And it is designed to put humans on Mars. They've got to get back to the moon so we can practice for that. The rocket is almost done. Pieces of it are here at the Space Center. It will fly for the first time, we hope, by the end of the year next year on its first test flight. We're getting the rocket right first. There are lots of unanswered questions working toward Mars. But over the next couple decades, we will answer those questions one by one, because we've committed to try to get humans on Mars within about 20 years. That's the goal. We would love to do it in 2033, but it's more likely it'll happen in the middle of that decade, maybe near the end of that decade. There to work in a government facility with a view. Check out the windows, floor to ceiling. It's such a nice new facility. And on a day like this, it's especially nice because the air condition works a little bit better in the new building. Welcome to sunny Florida. We had 41, where we launched Atlas rockets from the ULA company. And in November, we will launch astronauts from that pad aboard the new Boeing Starliner spacecraft. Between the two gray buildings, you see some lightning towers. There's a dark pencil right in the middle of those lightning towers. That is the rocket that will launch, hopefully, middle of the next week. We hope it will not be sitting on that pad by the end of next week. That's the plan. That rocket has already been to space. It is a reusable Falcon 9 rocket. And on top of that rocket, we will send several tons of cargo to that big space station that I just mentioned. SpaceX, too, will be bringing astronauts to that space station, hopefully by the end of the year. We hired Boeing and SpaceX to bring cargo and people to the space station so that we can focus our NASA resources on getting humans to Mars. Now across to the right, you see lots of cruise ships on the horizon. Just about every Friday, we've got lots of ships there loading people for journeys all over the world. That is Port Canaveral, and that is one of the most busy cruise ports in the world. It makes a great place to watch a rocket launch. It makes a great place to have dinner tonight. And just next to it, Cocoa Beach is also very good for launch viewing. But like I said, we can do better. Sometimes it's first come, first serve. Sometimes you have to buy a ticket. But we bus people out all the time to see these launches much closer. We see another launch pad out to the left front. There's a tall building with lightning towers on both sides. That's where we launched Delta rockets from the ULA company. So, out to the right, down this road, is Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. We had the first launch from that island in 1950. So next year we will celebrate 70 years of launching here. Nearly 4,000 different launches have taken place between these two islands. Now in front of us is the Kennedy Space Center, the NASA side. I wish we were launching right now, because you see how glassy smooth this water is. When it's like that, you can sometimes see the shock wave of the sound rolling across the water at you. It's an emotional experience you never forget, especially when the sound gets to you, because you may learn what it's like to feel sound. Out to the right front, about 1 o'clock position, way out there, two big famous launch pads sit where we left the Earth to go walk on the moon, launched all the shuttles, and where we are planning on going to Mars. And we will journey much closer to those launch pads during this tour, because there are lots of stories to be told out there. But first, we will reach our first photo stop. This is a launch viewing area, one of many launch viewing areas where we bring you. This is pretty good, but most of the time we bring people closer to the launch pads. The rocket is inside there now. You are here during the arrival of our first Mars rocket. The first vehicle that can take our human species to another planet. So you're here during an interesting time. Good anniversary. A lot to look forward to. When we launch this SLS, hopefully by the end of the year, 2020, we will see more thrust than any rocket launch in history from here. Out to the right, see this building named after Neil Armstrong once again. Inside here we have the Orion capsule. This is our spacecraft that will eventually be our ride to Mars. Of course, our space station is now complete. And inside this building, we've got pieces of our future Mars rocket, the SLS. The upper stage of the rocket is inside there now. You are here during the arrival of our first Mars rocket. The first vehicle that can take our human species to another planet. So you're here during an interesting time. Good anniversary and a lot to look forward to. When we launch this SLS, hopefully by the end of the year, 2020, we will see more thrust than any rocket launch in history from here. Out to the right, see this building named after Neil Armstrong once again. Inside here we have the Orion capsule. This is our spacecraft that will eventually be our ride to Mars. We assemble it inside here. The Orion that we just assembled made its way up to another NASA center where we're doing some acoustic testing. We're surrounding the spacecraft with enormously loud speakers, turning them up to 11 and bombarding the spacecraft with intense vibration to simulate launch. And it's coming through those tests with flying colors. We already flew an Orion capsule in space a few years ago. It functioned beautifully. And you can see that spacecraft inside the IMAX theater. Here on the right, we see pieces of the future Mars launch pad. We test them here before they see a real rocket launch. Sometimes launch pads are just as complicated as the rocket itself. We have huge teams that work on these ground systems. Make sure they're ready for launch day. Inside this white building on the right, we have our cryogenics lab. See the liquid nitrogen tank in front of the building. We mess with cold stuff here. Liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen. It's not to be trifled with. That stuff is very unforgiving of mistakes. And when we go to Mars, we will ask our astronauts to climb on top of almost 1 million gallons of that stuff. So we want to make that safe for the astronauts. There will be an escape system during launch. One that we've just tested just over a month ago. The Orion capsule that holds the astronauts will have a small escape rocket sitting right on top of their capsule. If something bad happens during liftoff, this little rocket will fire, literally yank the entire capsule away and save the astronauts. They just stay in their seats. They're ferried away. Of course, we hope we never have to use it, but it has been thoroughly tested in flight here recently. We had a rocket launch just for the purpose of testing that spacecraft, and it went well. When we fire the escape rocket, the capsule is pulled from 0 to 500 miles an hour in 3 seconds. That's relative to the supersonic speed of the rocket already. That puts about 7 Gs on the crew, 7 times of this force of gravity that I feel right now. For an astronaut, that's a cakewalk. No problem. The roller coasters in Orlando go up to about 3 or 4 Gs, so double what you feel on a roller coaster. I'm an aerobatic pilot, and I go up to about 10 Gs when I fly. So if I can do it, astronauts can do it, no problem. See this hangar on the right, the big vertical hangar? That's where we get this escape rocket ready. One of the most important parts of the rocket. And I love to see this big solar farm coming up on the left. It's one of many solar arrays on base. We have one that's over 4 times larger than this, a few miles away. Some of our roofs are covered with panels. All this solar saves millions of dollars in taxpayer money every year. So we're expanding it slowly but surely. You know, we have 8,000 space workers on base. So the power bill is considerable. The solar helps. But all those 8,000 employees here, we all need electricity, food, water. We have post offices on base, barber shops, convenience stores. There's a gas station we'll pass shortly. It really is like a city. Not everybody puts their hands on a rocket, but everybody here is critical to the operation. Got us to the moon. We can keep using their stuff. Those crawlers, they go about a half mile an hour. Right now we're going about 10 times faster than that crawler. It's a 3-mile drive. It takes 8 to 10 hours to get to the pad. But slow and steady wins the race here because we've got 24 million pounds rolling down the road. Several of those millions of pounds are high explosives. So we have to be careful. When it's time to move a rocket, we pull the crawler under one of these big launch platforms on the right. Picture this, we drive underneath here, pick it up, and drive away with the platform on top of the rocket. 16th, so we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of the launch a few days ago. The morning before launch, Neil, Buzz, and Mike would have been driven down this very road. I'd love to know what was going through their minds when they were about to go climb aboard all that high explosive. They were made to sit there and wait for hours before launch, which gives you some time to think. Takes a special kind of person. Today we launched the rapidly reusable Falcon Heavy rocket from that same launch pad down the road. There's a great video we'll play that'll show you what those rockets look like during launch and look for the landing. It's very impressive. Flag is hanging from, it's called the crew access arm. The astronauts walk through that arm to board the Dragon capsule before launch. We will be launching astronauts here this month from now. Every person that walked on the moon started their journey right here. This is the most famous pad in the world. On the right here, you see part of the launch team with SpaceX. No lunch, no launch. Today we launched the Falcon Heavy rocket from this pad, which is currently the most powerful rocket flying in the world. Not in history, but currently flying. There is a Falcon 9 in this hangar being prepared for flight as we speak. We're going to use this next rocket from this pad to test the next astronaut capsule. SpaceX hopes to launch the same rocket twice within 24 hours. I have no doubt they'll pull it off eventually. They hope to do it before the end of the year. This will be where it happens. We poured that concrete nearly 57 years ago. And that steel tower has helped us get to the moon, launch shuttles, and it remains there. We've blown through the 50th anniversary of this launch pad. This place was built to last. I would not be surprised if we were here celebrating a 100th anniversary on the same pad today. Like I said, astronauts will leave this pad. We're not sure the date yet. We would like to do it by the end of the year, this year. We're working through the final stages of testing of the Dragons from SpaceX. We do have a date for launching astronauts from this next pad to the right. The Boeing Starliner capsule will carry astronauts up to that International Space Station in November. In a moment, we'll turn onto the beach road up ahead. This is the coast. This is the Atlantic Ocean. And you'll notice all the pads are along the coast. Launch over the Atlantic to the east for safety, because rockets drop pieces as they go. So we can't launch over people. It's one of the reasons we picked this spot. Another great reason. We're very close to the equator here. The closer you get to the equator, the faster you're traveling with the rotation of our planet. So believe it or not, right now we are going 915 miles an hour toward the front of the bus here. And it's not because Joe has a lead foot. Quite the opposite. We have a banner atop the launch tower celebrating the 50th of Apollo. An Old Glory hanging from a special piece of equipment. You see the thing the flag is hanging from. It's called the Crew Access Arm. The astronauts walk through that arm to board the Dragon capsule before launch. We will be launching astronauts here just months from now.
Yeah.
Every person that walked on the moon started their journey right here. This is the most famous pad in the world. On the right here, you see part of the launch team with SpaceX. No lunch, no launch. Today we launched the Falcon Heavy rocket from this pad, which is currently the most powerful rocket flying in the world. Not in history, but currently flying. There is a Falcon 9 in this hangar being prepared for flight as we speak. We're going to use this next rocket from this pad to test the next astronaut capsule. SpaceX hopes to launch the same rocket twice within 24 hours. I have no doubt they'll pull it off eventually. They hope to do it before the end of the year. This will be where it happens. We poured that concrete nearly 57 years ago. And that steel tower has helped us get to the moon, launch shuttles, and it remains there. We've blown through the 50th anniversary of this launch pad. This place was built to last. I would not be surprised if we were here celebrating a 100th anniversary on the same pad someday. Like I said, astronauts will leave this pad. We're not sure the date yet. We would like to do it by the end of the year, this year. We're working through the final stages of testing the Dragons from SpaceX. We do have a date for launching astronauts from this next pad to the right. The Boeing Starliner capsule will carry astronauts up to that International Space Station. There is a lighthouse that has stood for nearly 152 years. It was already government property when we were looking for a launch site in the late 40s. It was less expensive to build a little launch pad next to the lighthouse. We had our first launch there in 1950. Here at this time, because the evening tours are all backlit, so this makes a good shot right now. Happy little clouds. The background is just like Bob Ross painting. He grew up in Daytona, not far from here. This sand dune on the right was built as a storm break. Thanks to the hurricanes, we can get flooding here with storm surge, so those dunes help a lot. And a nice photo of the water tower on the left. You see this big water tower. It holds over 300,000 gallons. We dump this water on the pad during liftoff. We spray the water into the air surrounding the engine. We do this, you'd suspect, to suppress the heat, but we actually do that to suppress the sound of the launch. When we launched Apollo 11 and the other Saturn V missions, we did break windows 15 miles away in town. The real reason we dump that water is to suppress sounds and keep the launch pad and the rocket healthy. Any less vibration hurt things, so we get the vibration out. It really helps a lot. So all those launches now today have water sound suppression. Up ahead we have pad 39B. Where we will launch the NASA missions to Mars with that SLS rocket. Though behind us on 39A, SpaceX is also going to launch their Mars rocket. We are helping each other immensely toward the red planet. Because going that far, you need more than one iron in the fire. Government agencies like NASA are designed to work with private companies like SpaceX. The private companies compete with each other, but our job is to make free enterprise work, show the world what free enterprise can do in space. It's awesome. Working great today. In a moment, we will pause the bus at an operational facility. You'll be able to climb this camera pad. There's this pad we place cameras on, big tracking cameras that get engineering footage of launches. Some of the launch replays you've seen through the years have been filmed from this hill right here. We spruced it up so you can climb it, get some good photos yourself. Though, please stay inside the ropes and handrails. We do have high voltage systems on top of the hill and endangered tortoise habitats in the grass. So just stay inside those ropes and handrails. Thank you. Feel free to use the 5-star chemical toilets that will be in front of the bus. Like I said, this is the most important stop on the tour. You get a great view of the Atlantic. Good opportunities to photograph each of our big famous launch pads. Look for these gopher tortoises. We sometimes see them around. They dig holes underground and live underground. They dig thousands upon thousands of holes that become homes for hundreds of other species. It's super important to the area. So maybe you'll see some out here. But just watch your head, watch your step. Come on out. Feel free to use the 5-star chemical toilets that will be in front of the bus. Like I said, this is the most important stop on the tour. You get a great view of the Atlantic. Good opportunities to photograph each of our big famous launch pads. Look for these gopher tortoises. We sometimes see them around. They dig holes underground and live underground. They dig thousands upon thousands of holes that become homes for hundreds of other species. So it's super important to the area. So maybe you'll see some out here. But just watch your head, watch your step. rocket may rattle windows and orbit those. And if it breaks my window in Titusville, that's okay with me. NASA doesn't pay for those broken windows. Let it happen. We will have more thrust than any rocket launch in history. The Saturn V's that we launched here previously could be heard from Orlando. People would stand on their front porch 50 miles away and the rocket launches were audible. They sounded like distant thunder. This next rocket may rattle windows and orbit those. And if it breaks my window in Titusville, that's okay with me. NASA doesn't pay for those broken windows. Let it happen. The first landing, Apollo 10 made a dress rehearsal. They did everything up to the landing. They flew to the moon and orbited the moon. And that Apollo 10 mission lifted off here. We just celebrated that anniversary some months back. They painted the stripe for Neil to follow, that's what they said. We've made lots of renovations to this launch pad. And once we turn this corner, there's a good video we can play that will describe those renovations to you. We're preparing for Mars. See this crawlerway on the right? It goes all the way down to the VAB. It's a beautiful photo for you now. And there is a great video we can play that will describe the renovations that we've done to the crawler and actually give you videos of that mobile launcher running down this stretch right here. Check this out. Gives it much better context. That crawlerway on the right, the top layer of rock is Alabama River rock. We picked that material because it has no iron content, so when it's crushed under that weight of the crawler, there's no sparks. You don't want to start a grease fire when you're carrying a couple million pounds of high explosive. Makes sense to me. Clever engineering. I think the slide rule figured that one out back in the 60s. In a couple minutes, we will disembark once again right across the parking lot from the vehicle assembly building. It's a great photo op. When we get off the bus, what's that? What's happening out here? This, I'm not certain why we've taken care of this overgrown area. I believe it's been cut down as thanks to the Department of the Interior because they manage undergrowth and things. They do controlled burns and such on base management. Learned exactly why they just cleared that patch recently, but I suspect it's to control overgrowth. But out to the left, you see that crest site. Under the flag, there is the countdown clock, the big famous countdown clock. That's the big blue box you see sitting there. And this waterway to the left is man-made. We bring big barges here with giant rocket stages. We bring them across the street into the vehicle assembly. Bleachers on the left for employees to watch launches. your launch control center once again. Photo up there. And it looks like the transfer aisle door is partially open. Those big rocket stages are brought through this door on the right, horizontally, and they're stood vertically inside the door. When we get off the bus in a moment, we'll be walking around some space artifacts. I'll just tell you what we'll be taking pictures of here. You'll see the escape rocket we mentioned earlier. You'll see another escape vehicle, very different. There is a yellow armored personnel carrier that you'll see. It was placed at the bottom of the pad, and it gave the astronauts a means of escape if there was a problem during the countdown. There is also the walkway that those astronauts used to board the shuttle here on the right. And there is a portion of the flag painted to the same scale as the big one on the building. This is a great photo op, so come on down, watch your head, watch your step. Just wait before we stand up for the bus. Okay, come on down.
What's happening out here, this, I'm not certain why we've taken care of this overgrown area. I believe it's been cut down thanks to the Department of the Interior, because they manage undergrowth and things. They do controlled burns and such on base wagons. I've learned exactly why they just cleared that patch recently, but I suspect it's to control overgrowth. But out to the left, you see that press site. Under the flag, there is the countdown clock, the big famous countdown clock. That's a big blue box you see sitting there. And this waterway to the left is man-made. We bring big barges here with giant rocket stages, bring them across the street into the vehicle assembly integrated. Bleachers on the left for employees to watch launches. There's your launch control center once again. Good photo op there. And it looks like the transfer aisle door is partially open. Those big rocket stages are brought through this door on the right, horizontally, and they're stood vertically inside the door. When we get off the bus in a moment, we'll be walking around some space artifacts. I'll just tell you what we'll be taking pictures of here. You'll see the escape rocket we mentioned earlier. You'll see another escape vehicle, very different. There is a yellow. That'll be our final stop coming up in just a couple minutes. We'll reach the Saturn V Center, which is a fully fledged museum facility with a cafe, restrooms. It's all climate controlled. It all centers around that giant Saturn V moon rocket. Not a model, it's the real deal. We launched 13 of them, and if we needed one more, this one was next in line. You'll see it. We're right by the bottom of the high bays here on the right. Gives another great sense of scale of the VAB coming up. You'll see some more human-sized doors in the middle. There we go, little tiny human doors in the middle. And we see inside high bay 4, you see this white cylinder standing up in the door. That white cylinder is a solid rocket booster segment from the new rocket, SLS. We're using it for crane training right now. It's working well. It is air conditioned when we have rockets inside. Yeah, but right now it's not air. Hard to spot. See him? Oh my God. That's a pretty big gator, maybe 10, 12 feet. Just see the head poking up. If you take the distance from the nose to the eyes, the number of inches correlates to the number of feet of the length of the gator. So I'd say it's 10 or 12 inch distance between the tip of the nose and the eyes. There's a big gator, 10 or 12 feet. Those gators are in the cold, deeper water today because they have to thermoregulate. They don't sweat like mammals. Head poking like that. Yeah. When you take the
distance from the nose to the eyes. The number of inches correlates to the number of feet of the length of the gator. So I'd say it's a 10 or 12 inch distance between the tip of the nose and the eyes there. That's a big gator, 10 or 12 feet. So a lot of those gators are in the cold water right now, but near the end of the day, closer to sunset, they'll start popping up. So if you go to that wildlife refuge later today, there's a much better chance of seeing those gators closer to sunset. It's a lot of fun. Got a lot of those cold-blooded species, like I said. Got lots of snakes here. Almost none of them are any danger. You don't want to approach any snake. Treat all of them as if they're venomous, but we do have 4 venomous species here. We've had eastern diamondback rattlesnakes that stretch from one side of a single lane road to the other. Your head's on one side, tail's on the other. And they're enormous creatures. Beach. If you go out to Playa Linda Beach, you may see nesting tracks. Steer clear of those tracks because they're a protected species. Here we are at the Saturn V Center. When you get off the bus this time, make sure to grab your stuff. When you leave this place, just exit through the gift shop. We learned that from Disney. If you get on any bus and go straight back, okay, the exit is the gift shop. Welcome to Central Florida. And on behalf of myself, Kurt, and Joe, and our whole NASA family, thank you for the privilege of showing you this place. Now let us not say goodbye. Let's say to be continued. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So just grab your stuff here. Again, watch your head, watch your step. And enjoy this place. You could go through our new garden.